Stupid people of Reddit, what is the stupidest thing you've done? I'm walking to work, dressed as an office drone, dress pants, dress shirt, no tie, wingtips. I see some construction workers ahead waving frantically at me. What the heck do those guys want? Take one more step, plop, right into the wet cement sidewalk panel they had just made. To answer the obvious questions, yes, there were pylons and warning signs, etc. I was an oblivious idiot. TLDR. I'm that white collar idiot the construction workers probably still tell stories about. My dog wants to contribute one, so I'm on the front of a boat and we're going like 30 miles per hour. I'm just staring into the wind with my tongue flopping around, like any other dog would. Then I see that stupid freaking brown thing down by my butt again. You know, that furry thing that sometimes attaches to our butts until we chase it around for a few minutes and start thinking about something else. I chased that sucker straight off the front of the boat, and it ran us over. I'm alright though. It was one of those moments of true stupidity. I was finishing on the toilet, about to go to bed. I stood up and flushed. As I did, I thought I heard something plop into the bowl. I reached in and to my delight, grabbed the first thing I felt in my hand, picked up a turd. When I was little, I pooped a tiny bit into a piece of toilet paper and kept it by my bed. My mom found it due to the smell. I think I wanted to know what happened when you left a turd out in the open for a while. I like to think I was just being a little scientist, but in reality I was probably just a weird little crap. One time I tried to fart while playing online poker really late while my girlfriend was asleep. About half of the fart came out before I realized more was on its way out too. I caught that before it was too late and jumped up and started to run to the bathroom. I had headphones on and yanked my head to the left and pulled my tower over as I kicked a 25-pound weight on the floor, broke my toe and then crap all over myself. Who all see the leprechaun say yeah? I think you win. This is hilarious. Garage sale. I pull over and go to the carport where I see a lot of boxes laying around and clothes hanging. So I start having rummage in the boxes and looking at the clothes. See a guy in the lounge staring at me, giving me stink eye. I think, how are you going to sell anything with that attitude? Never mind, keep on looking. Mostly kids and women's clothes anyway. Guy comes out and says, are you right mate? I say yeah, just having a look. Go back out to my car. Nothing of interest there. Drive down the street and see another sign. Garage sale. Realize the garage sale sign was indicating turn left at the next street. You know how you see stupid exam answers? At the age of 12 the whole year group had to sit an exam to find out what groups we would be put in for science the next year. It asked us to draw and label a table and its users. I literally drew a freaking table with some smug little C reading a book at it. I even labeled the freaking book as book and the table and its legs. I still made the top set for science. Every science teacher got a photocopy of that freaking diagram. Every single freaking one. It was pinned to walls, doors, smart boards. Literally, every freaking gadget and mink in my school knew about my monumental frick up. I have to. The time I ended up in the hospital because of pasta. One night I was doing dishes that I had left for about a week. Uni life. And there was a piece of pasta heavily crusted onto the bottom of the pot. I couldn't get it off with a sponge or with the brush I was using, so I tried to pick it off with my nails. I managed to pick a little bit too hard and boom, the pasta shard is under my thumbnail up to about the halfway point. About 10 seconds later my finger was dripping blood and I realized that the pasta was actually getting cooked by my blood and visions of awful infections started to run through my head. I decided to play it safe and go to the ER, and the doctor that ended up seeing me 3 hours later told me that I had made the right choice coming in, which made me feel a bit better. A couple of scalpels, some surgical scissors and 30 minutes of excruciating pasta extraction later I walked out of the hospital missing half of my thumbnail. It hurt like an absolute bee for the next week. I was told that I was the only pasta related injury any of the doctors in the hospital at the moment had ever seen. The time I, literally, tried to be a helicopter and broke my wrist. I was 4 years old and on a field trip with my kindergarten class. It was lunchtime and we were all sitting on a jungle gym eating our lunches. For whatever reason I decided it was a good idea to stop eating my lunch and walk to the top of the jungle gym so I could jump off. Don't ask me to explain it. It's been 17 years and I'm still amazed at my own inexplicable stupidity. I'm fortunate not to have won a Darwin Award so far. I had recently learned what a helicopter was and was amazed that they could fly just by spinning things around. My flawless logic of the day was, if they can do it, why can't I? So, seemingly without any discernible reason, little 4-year-old me put down his sandwich, marched to the top of the jungle gym, put his arms out at his sides and jumped off while spinning around in my best helicopter impression. And that was how I got my first ambulance ride. TLDR. I accidentally tested ancient Chinese torture tactics on myself and also tried to be a helicopter at one point. They said I could be anything, so I became a helicopter. Wanted to make a panini, so got my panini press. Noticed a small piece of metal poking out of the plug, so pushed it in with my thumb. Whilst it was plugged in and switched on, haven't been able to face a panini since. At the age of 9, I had a rock fight with a friend. I was hospitalized and now most people respectfully ask me if I have a mental condition. TLDR. Rock. Head. Retard. This is not how you get stoned. When I was roughly 3 years old, I was playing around in the living room whilst my older brother, 13 at the time, watches television. Eventually I get bored of whatever annoying toy I was playing with. I start toddling on over to the kitchen to find scattered toys or to find my mum. However, on the way I decided to take a nap. A nap on a freaking radiator with heat blasting out of it. Apparently I had been there for a good minute before my brother realized my face was melting on the radiator. My brother takes my cheek off the radiator and screams for our mum. I got rushed immediately to the hospital where my mum was questioned profusely in regards to child neglect. She's a great mum and she says the ordeal was the worst thing she has ever experienced. Got a scar off my cheek from my idiocy. This isn't the only time I fricked up as a youngster, sadly. Got run over by a parked car. So, when I was 10, my stepfather put a speedometer on my huffy dirt bike. I wanted to see how fast this thing could go, so I took it up to the tallest hill in my neighborhood. Racing down the hill, I went past 20 miles per hour, past 25. I was closing in on 30 miles per hour when it occurred to me that I should be looking at the road, not just the speedometer. That's when I hit the book. A 1980s era American car was not built for fuel economy or for reliability. It was built to consume as many gas and steel resources as America could pee away. I flew over the trunk, rolled over the roof, and thumped onto the hood with a broken arm and 2-inch scar in my shin. My huffy was squashed like an accordion and could have been mistaken for a unicycle. Everything changed after that, except the book. It barely noticed. I once thought it would be a good idea to take 3 hits of acid and go to my cousin's middle school dance recital. It wasn't a good idea at all. It was a bad idea. It was a very freaking bad idea. I fell asleep on a roof, a slanted roof. I rolled over. Ever have one of those dreams where you are falling? I woke up just before I hit the ground. I rode my bike under a truck. I made a slingshot that fired metal discs through trees. I took these plates off my father's cars and bikes. I made a stump remover, basically an IED for farm work. Got confused and got the measurements wrong. I figured this out while a 2-ton stump was about 80 feet in the air. I thought that my knife juggling skills would impress girls at a party. I had been drinking heavily. Had fricked on a trampoline. Advice: if you ever want to try this, don't. Penises can break. Had fricked in the water at a beach. Advice: if you want to try this, don't. Sand gets everywhere, especially if you are uncircumcised. Shot myself with a .22 bullet. Not a gun, just the bullet. Well, and a hammer. Took a half-pound of gunpowder to school. Tried to write my name on the football field. Turns out the guy with the distinctive name and no eyebrows can easily be identified. Another time I tried to jump a fence on a motorcycle. A barbed wire fence. Strangely, if this had gone just a little worse, the beach thing would have gone better. Parked my dad's car the wrong way, that is, in a swimming pool. Tried to help a dog who had been hit by a car. Had a large portion of my face torn open. That being said, I would do this again. Lots more, but I am a little tired. My wife thinks I am stupid. BTW. Dude, you might just be stupid. I'm not a doctor though, so you know, don't listen to me because I once tried to walk along a barbed wire fence in the rain. Thought it was easy like in the circus. When I was 12 I put a rifle round facing up on the ground and hit it with a golf club. The casing shot across my foot and cut skin, but I don't know where the bullet went. Depending on how old you are, we might have solved the Kennedy assassination. Me and my cousin were sharing a room at my grandma's. We had just switched out the old TV with a nicer one. Rather than moving it out of the way, we just left it in the hall. Like a couple of lazy dumbasses, we figured we'd just move it tomorrow. Cut to 11 PM. We hear a loud scream and large thud right outside our door. We run outside to find grandma in a heap on the floor. She was going to bed but didn't turn the hall light on because she wrongly assumed that her grandsons weren't morons. She bruised her hip, and I still feel terrible about it to this day. TLDR, my cousin and I almost killed our grandma with a TV. Stepped on a rake to see if it flies up like in cartoons. Gave myself a black eye. 2. Turned a hand with a glass of water in upside down to look at my watch. D. Spent half an hour looking for a toy. Getting more and more frustrated. It was in my hand. 8. Have an insane blind spot for keys. I lose my keys almost every day unless I consciously put them in one specific spot. Forgot. Ouch. Made a pizza in a cast iron pan in the oven. Must have been getting on for 200°C when I took it out and carefully put it on a mat. Turned to do something else for a few seconds. Turned back and instinctively grabbed the pan handle. Not just a touch, a full-on grab. I even managed to lift it an inch or so before the pain hit. I can honestly say it's by far the worst pain I've ever had, and I burst a stitch after my circumcision at 19. Unable to find my phone, in a complete state of panic. Sending my friend a text asking, "Dude, did I leave my phone at your place? I can't find it anywhere." He replied, "What are you using to send this text? Genius. I have never, in my life, been so ashamed." To clarify, this was quite a few years ago, before smartphones and Google Voice. We're talking some of the first color screen Nokias here. I've done that with my keys. I'm looking all around the house while twirling them around on my finger. The girl of my dreams came back to my place after dinner and drinks. We had been friends for a long time but never a hint of anything more. I was in a sleeping bag, on the floor. She told me, "Hey, you can jump up under the quilt to get warm," and my response was, "Oh, this sleeping bag is really warm." It wasn't until the next day that I realized what I had done. Whoa, thinking about this makes me really depressed. So I used to get really bad head rushes when I stood up too fast. This happened a lot when I was in my early teens. Anyways, I was lying down watching TV when my dad tells me to turn the heat down. So I get up and feel kinda dazed but continue to walk behind the couch towards the thermostat. On the long walk to the thermostat, my head rush starts to get more intense. I lose vision and lean against my electric piano for support. I lean there for about 30 seconds while it passes. When my vision finally returns, I am standing over my piano thinking, "Turn down the heat. Turn down the heat." So my blood-deprived brain starts to bash the keys of the piano hoping that the heat will turn it down. I am very confused at this point, but I think I know what I'm doing. Then I get the realization. I thought, wow, I'm so dumb. The heat isn't turning down because the piano isn't on. Stupid me, so I press the on button on the keyboard and start bashing the keys even more. Random notes start playing loudly, which makes me jump. Finally realizing my true folly, I laugh out loud at how stupid my brain was and proceed to the thermostat to finally turn down the heat. This all happened within the span of about 40 seconds to a minute. The end. TLDR. Thought my piano was the thermostat and proceeded to bash the keyboard to try to turn down the heat. Please tell me your dad was there watching as you continue to bash the keys on the piano. I thought it would be funny to fart on my friend while we were in my closet smoking. Instead I shot all over the floor and he laughed his butt off. In junior high, I swallowed a pencil in class. Emergency room doctor looked me up and down and said I expected to see a 3-year-old. In high school I dated a girl with an identical twin. One morning I was tired and walked up to the girl I thought was my girlfriend, put my arm around her, and kissed her. Fantasy twin freaking did not ensue. Me. Are you going to the prom? Her. Yes. Me. Okay. I hope you have fun. I thought she was saying she had a date but was really just saying she planned on going. Found out from a mutual friend after someone else asked her. Ended up going stag. I don't think that was really stupid. It was just miscommunication. The first time I had fricked was pretty freaking stupid. Girl brings my wasted self back to her room and we start fricking. My anxiety kicks and that I'm supposed to see M already, so I stand up in the dark. Fake jerk off. Fake orgasm. And peace the frick out. She never talked to me again. I don't understand your thought process here. I tried to rob an on-duty cop. I used to work at a gas station. Every night at this gas station police officers would come in for some coffee and whatnot, and over time I got to know a couple of them. Over time, it got to where we would talk about the weird crap they see on the regular and whatnot and the crap they would help us deal with. I got some good cop stories from them and some even better gas station adventures from my days if anyone is interested. Anyway, one day I'm minding my own business stocking the cooler when I hear Officer Ingram talking to my manager over the speakers in the cooler. They are there so that whoever is in the cooler can hear what is going on up front. I decide to come out of the cooler with my sweatshirt and ski mask on and sneak up on Officer Ingram and see how a cop reacts to being robbed. So I start sneaking around the store solid snake style, and I managed to go unseen by Officer Ingram. My manager, who was having a conversation with him, saw me but didn't give me away since it wasn't unusual for me to wear the ski mask outside the cooler. I get to the counter and I put my box cutter's blunt end, safety first, against the back of his neck and tell him in a voice much deeper than my regular voice to don't do anything stupid and call for help or anything. Just give me your freaking wallet. My manager was speechless. Officer Ingram didn't even flinch. He just took a sip of his coffee and told me that I must be the biggest idiot he had ever come across. It was at this point that I noticed my manager's eyes had dropped and I noticed that Ingram already put his hand on his gun. Right as I heard the safety click, I dropped the act and told him it was me and that I was just playing. Ingram starts laughing out loud and tells me to chill out. He had seen me sneaking out the cooler and around the store on the computer screen up front with the live feed of the security cameras around the store. We had a good laugh about it immediately after. For a few days after that, when the other officers would come in, they would put their hands in the air or just throw me their wallets. It later dawned on me that if it wasn't for the manager leaving the security camera live feed on screen, I could have gotten shot and charged with all sorts of crap. TL. DR. Pulled a box cutter on a cop as joke. Cop knew it was me and decided to scare me senseless. Didn't go to jail or get bullets in my tummy. It was a good day. I like to think I am not stupid, but I have one memory gap that leads people to believe I am dumb as soup. I can't freaking recall right and left off the top of my head. It is so freaking frustrating. Could be worse though. I physically can't turn left. I'm not an ambertoner. Christmas. This year, So's mother is staying with us. Upstate NY, so it's cold as balls. I go out to start the car before we leave for dinner and then come back in. Few minutes later when we're about to leave, I start patting my pockets and looking around on my desk. So's mom goes, the keys are in the car. Cause it's running. Yup, your daughter is dating a keeper over here. I once was playing around with my friend's EP pen and didn't know which side was which. Shot the needle through my thumb, so that hurt. Came home from work one night and popped Easy Mac in the microwave, but I forgot the one essential step. I came back 3 minutes later to a smoke-filled kitchen. The smoke was the burned plastic cancer smoke, so my nasal passages were on fire. I am a terrible chef. Did you forget the fricking water? Because I have done the same goddamn thing. When I was little, I didn't know about those car lighters. I stuck my index finger thinking it would be cool to leave it there and boom, finger roasted. Worst thing is I held the pain for at least 4 hours because I didn't want to cause trouble to my parents. Sneezed and hit my head on a wall because I was standing too close. Left my shopping at the till after I went through the self-service checkout. Poured water down my leg and instead of moving the cup, just let it continue to pour until there was no water left. Thought a bat sonar was called sonic radar. threw frozen chicken in about 6 inches of boiling vegetable oil and started my house on fire. Lit my friend's hay shed on fire, which exploded when the fire reached 20 full propane tanks. Jumped off my house to my trampoline. Missed. Bit my tongue almost completely off. I also once cooked some trout on the barbecue grill and some foam that the cat sleeps on under the grill caught fire, so I threw it off the deck and it landed on the tramp and burned a hole in it. Just 10 minutes ago I was play fighting with a girl I get with occasionally and she lifted her leg to kick me in the balls, so I grabbed her leg and out of instinct lifted and pushed, which sent her to her butt. Hard. And she hit her head decently hard in the wall. I say out of instinct because I'm a wrestler and my brain just automatically thought I was doing a single leg. I was having a bonfire, dumping gas on the fire, and the fire got a little too high and lit the spout of the gas can, and it, well, exploded and lit my shirt sleeve on fire. Jesus, I need to stay away from fire. At least your trampoline wasn't on fire. I'm smart in general, but sometimes I derp out completely and look like the biggest moron. Once I was reading a horror novel and I had my finger underneath the page. I turned the page and got startled because apparently I'd 1. Forgotten my finger was there, and 2. Forgotten I even had that finger, because I didn't even recognize it as mine for a moment. I only recently found out that if you put hot water in a pot instead of cooler water, it'll boil faster, and so it shaves like 10 minutes off your cooking time. The other day, I tried to open a can of evaporated milk, but the can opener just made a weird noise and didn't do anything. I got frustrated for a few seconds before realizing that it wasn't the can I was holding. It was my glass measuring cup. I'm terrified of roaches. Once I saw a fat roach on the floor of my bedroom and literally stood there for about 10 minutes with a shoe in my hand, trying to work up the courage to throw it. Then I noticed the roach hadn't moved the whole time. I mustered up the courage to get closer and get a better look at it, and realized it wasn't a roach. It was just a black smudge on the floor that had collected a little lint. It's worth mentioning that I'm nearsighted and didn't have my glasses on at the time. For months I really, truly thought you could download RAM. I had seen that download more RAM site and read some reviews, which I later found out were joking, and I told my mom and one of my friends about it. My mom looked at me with this deadpan face. My friend started cracking the heck up. It wasn't until later that I learned you cannot download RAM. I am not computer savvy. I keep mistakenly calling surround sound around. I think I'd been saying it for years, but nobody corrected me until I was in a conversation with some friends and said something like, yeah, I have sound around headphones. They're expensive but so worth it. My boyfriend interrupted me and said, can you repeat that? I did, and everyone burst out laughing. I once derped out and asked my dad if the Rio Grande was actually in Rio de Janeiro. My dad just went, there's no such thing as a stupid question. But that was pretty close. I'm both my parents' smartest and dumbest child. I thought detergent pods worked in the dryer, not the washer. I assumed that the heat from the dryer would melt away the plastic and that the liquid was meant to make my clothes smell good. When the plastic didn't melt away, I started tear the pods before throwing them inside the dryer. Did this for like 4 months straight. Yeah, I know. I'm stupid. I parked my car on an inclined road and forgot to put my handbrake up. I saw my car slowly but surely going downhill, so I attempted to stop it with my own hands. The car hit me as I went under it and hit the car behind me. Ended up paying to repair my car, the other guy's car, and my own medical bills. Technically definitely not stupid, but quite capable of it. I tried to avoid my older sister by telling her on the phone I wasn't at our parents' house. I was on my parents' house landline and she lost no time in pointing this out. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.